In this video, I will propose a few ideas about how to eat, exercise, sleep, and live best in order to optimize your language learning. I am not an expert nor a nutritionist, so of course please defer to experts over my opinion. I will also for the most part not substantiate any of the claims I make here with evidence. I have done a lot of research into nutrition and fitness, and have also continuously experimented on myself over the years, and I encourage you to do the same to find out what works best for your body. Sleeping properly is at the top of the list of all the things that you can do to learn languages faster. The brain needs sleep to function, focus, and learn properly. Everybody needs a different amount of sleep each night, and the amount that you need will fluctuate greatly based on your activity, age, and the time of the year. There is only one way to find out how much sleep you really need each night. Spend a number of weeks without artificial light, electronic screens, and caffeine so that your body's internal rhythm can reset itself. Most people want to squeeze every extra hour out of the day, but this will drastically hurt your language learning progress. One way to test this is to take a book in a language that you are learning and see how many pages you can read in an hour when you are well rested, and then try again when you are tired. I have found that I cover about 50% less material when I'm tired than when I'm rested. So not only will it take much longer to make progress if you do not get adequate sleep, but you will also remember less from what you do cover. I recommend not using computers late at night, completely blacking out your room, and as much as possible not using an alarm clock. The next major area that you can look into to improve your learning is what and when you eat. The typical Western diet is very high in carbohydrates and low in fat, and I have found that this type of diet results in unstable and fluctuating energy levels throughout the day. That mid-afternoon slump is often caused by a dependence on simple carbohydrates for energy. A diet that is high in fat, cholesterol, and protein seems to be best for stable energy levels and increased focus. It may take a while to get over the slump that comes with giving up carbohydrates, but you'll notice big improvement in the stability of your energy levels and your ability to focus once you train your body to rely on fat as its main source of fuel. I do not want to get into the argument about dietary fat and cholesterol right now, but it will suffice to say that dietary cholesterol has no correlation to cholesterol in your bloodstream, and that dietary fat has no correlation to fat on your body. In fact, it is sugar and simple carbohydrates which make us fat and give us heart disease and diabetes, but please again do your own research and experiment on yourself. My diet consists mostly of vegetables, meats, fish, eggs, and minimally processed fats such as butter, olive oil, avocados, and coconuts. I avoid sugar, grains, and artificial vegetable oils and drink alcohol only very rarely. And I have found this diet to have given me the best results not only with my ability to focus and study, but also in staying lean and fit. Experiment and see what works for you. You should also consider how much you eat. I have found that intermittent fasting really helps improve my focus. Overeating or eating too often can seriously detract from your language learning process. Exercise is incredibly important in staying mentally fit. Exercise primes the brain to learn fast. In fact, in one interesting study, it was found that vocabulary could be learned 20% faster following intense exercise. The reason for this is that during and after exercise, the brain produces BDNF, or brain-derived neurotropic factor, which plays a central role in the structural growth which takes place in the brain when something new is learned. BDNF drastically improves the function and growth of neurons and protects them against death. I'll leave a link to an interesting video on the subject in the description. It is important to find a balance that works for your body and age. Too little exercise and you will not be optimizing your ability to learn. Too much and you will actually be too exhausted to learn. I personally spend 5 to 7 hours each week in very intensive training and an additional 2 or so in light training. Any more than this and I start to notice that I'm too tired to think clearly when I sit down to study. Finally, I would encourage you to consider the role that hormones play in your learning and focus. I can only speak from my experience as a man and my research into male hormones, but generally speaking, as a man you should seek to naturally maximize your level of testosterone. The higher your level of testosterone, the more driven and more focused you will become. I have found that increased testosterone leads to increased mental clarity. There are 4 things you can do to naturally increase your level of testosterone. The first is to eat foods which increase your level of testosterone. A diet high in fat and cholesterol is perfect for this. The second is to avoid foods or environmental factors that decrease testosterone or increase estrogen. The biggest offenders are soy products and plastic bottles. The third is to engage in activity that increases testosterone. The 2 best things that you can do are to lift heavy things and fight. I try to lift as much as possible, focusing on the lifts that allow you to move the most weight, namely the squat, deadlift, and bench press. And I also intensively train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The fourth thing that you can do is lose weight. Body fat actively secretes estrogen, and therefore a lower body fat percentage will lead to higher levels of testosterone and lower levels of estrogen. To conclude, I recommend that you keep a journal for a few months and record everything you eat, how much you sleep, and how much you exercise. You should also record how you feel and how well you can study every day. And after a while, you should see patterns and understand what makes you feel sluggish and what makes you perform optimally. In all of this, it is important to remember that willpower is a transferable skill. That is to say, being disciplined in one aspect of your life, such as diet or exercise or sleep, improves your discipline in all other aspects of your life, including language learning.